Okay. Well, this is exciting. I don't like how everything's inverted on my screen. That's just so goofy. All right. Well, I'm starting right on time here. I see I've got a couple people here. Thanks for coming. Uh, some of you will have noticed that I had another live stream about a day or two ago, and now I'm back to experiment a little bit more with it. Just test out my capabilities and talk about some memes as I go. Uh, so anyway, I guess I won't dawdle too much. So I'm going to start with this meme right here. What a time to be alive! It's like the collapse of Rome, but with Wi-Fi. I guess I should say that even though I'm here using technology, I actually don't like technology that much, and I think that in our case, the collapse of Rome, the collapse of our world, is partly because we're too fixated on technology. I know it's like super ironic since I'm here playing with technology. But actually, I gave up going on a family thing so that I could do this. It's kind of ridiculous, right? Now, truth be told, that family thing sucked. So this was much better, but I'm not going to share that with anyone. So I would be very interested if someone could at least say something in the live stream over there, just whatever, just exclamation mark or something, because I'd like to see if I have any kind of a delay. Or if you have any comments as we go or questions, feel free to put them. I'm not going to belabor this video too much because it is more experimental. Someday I'll try to do something more formal. So let me just go on to the next meme. So this is one that I'm struggling with because, man, I am right a lot. Now, I'm not the only one who's right by any means, but there are a lot of us who are right. And that has not won any credibility whatsoever. So it's kind of like you can see why people would want to just go along to get along, um, because there's no payoff to being right. You're actually treated worse for being right than if you had been like one of the pack. It's kind of like there's this psychological thing where you are justified in being wrong, so long as you were wrong with like a million other people or 10 million or the whole world. Um, and it's not just a like a way to comfort yourself and console yourself with not taking the time to research uh, viewpoints or think about the logical outcomes of what you're doing. You're just sort of excused from all of that. And this other side of that then is if someone does not participate in that, that person is like a living rebuke to your whole method, your whole way of living. So this is a very real phenomena, and I'm afraid to say it, but it's just gonna keep getting worse because uh, the uh, the depth of how wrong people can get is so extreme. It's already bad. Some of the other memes I'm going to talk about will kind of expose that, but it's going to get worse. Where like things are like so obviously and absurdly correct or it's clear what is going to be the case or what will logically follow, and people still won't figure it out. And the rest of us are just going to be sitting back and you know we like to say "I told you so," but it's going to be dangerous because they're going to be shooting arrows at us for it the whole time. All right, so let me go on to the next one. Wow, I just like this meme. It's kind of funny, right? If you are in the gun community, you've seen a lot of things like this, like spoon, assault spoon, that kind of thing. If you haven't been following it, there's there was a move which maybe was withdrawn to ban gas ovens. That's probably a whole topic all on its own. There's a Saw a video today of CNN accidentally sort of letting the cat out of the bag about the real purpose of the ban on the gas fired stoves. What they're selling it is saying that it's because of internal air quality and people with asthma. But the woman was kind of like the talk show host or whatever she was, uh, accidentally said, "Well, this is a climate change thing because it's one of the biggest producers of CO2 or whatnot," and she got shut down on the air for that. So we know that it's not about air quality because they don't care about air quality. Anyway, I don't want to talk about climate change too much on this. Be another 20 videos. Let's go on to the next one. Oh, here I am talking about climate change again. Well, how did I do that? So, what I liked about this particular meme, besides the fact that it just made me laugh, and I think it makes a lot of people laugh, but this is like this is the logic. This is what we're dealing with. You could very conceivably go to Twitter right now and find 1,000 people making an argument with exactly that structure. Now, part of that is just bad reasoning, and part of it might be going back to sort of the following the crowd off of the cliff kind of thing that I talked about in the other meme just a little bit ago. Um, they just fall into the groove and they just sort of um, bookend things together without thinking about it. So this is a non sequitur if ever there was one, but it's sort of like the prevailing non sequitur. Like this is what passes as sophisticated thought in mainstream society right now, all in one little meme. Let's go on to the next one. So for this one, well, take a second to read it. I'll take a sip of my whiskey while we do that. So I don't know if anyone is watching what's going on in England right now with their National Health Service. Um, there was one headline. Somebody asserted that 500 people were dying a week from excess deaths due to um, the backlog of care that is there right now, and it's probably not just because of the backlog of care. There's a lot that could be said about this, but one of the things that I think jumps out to me with it is that England has always been proud of its healthcare system, very proud of its socialistic medicine, and I have frequently run into liberals, so-called liberals, who just go on and on and on about how great the healthcare is in England, in other socialist states and countries, of course. And here we are, we're in a situation where, if that's true, 500 a week are dying. And maybe I think I heard the guy say 1/3 to a quarter of those are due to the backlog of care because you can't get into the hospitals. So that's, I don't know, 200 a week. That adds up quite a bit over 52 weeks. So England's national health care is supposed to be superior to just everything on the planet, especially if you hear these people talk about it. And yet, and yet people can't even get access to the care. Now, under a sort of a normal circumstance, under we don't have normal capitalistic medicine here in the United States either. It's all screwed up. So I'm not going to be able to bring in a whole lot of nuance to it. But here, at least originally, before the insurance companies got involved, before it became a government sponsored fiasco, you could find the care that you wanted. You always could, because supply and demand would ensure that there would always be a supplier. It's only once the government got involved that it became difficult to make sure that there was always enough of a supply of the healthcare. But it is not just that. I mean, that's not just the sole dynamic. The other part of it is that since they pay their taxes, every one of them, well, I suppose it's like here maybe where the bottom half doesn't pay anything. But since they pay their taxes, they feel that they have absolute entitlement to it. Meanwhile, all the people that they hate, the rich people, they don't thank them. They don't call up the local millionaires and billionaires and send them thank you cards. Thank you for paying for my health care. No, they're pissed about it. They're like, hey, I can't get my health care that's free, right? And so instead of there being an opportunity to receive charity, and if you ever receive charity, like if you're ever in a hard situation and you receive charity, I mean that feeling of gratefulness that you get from that, it's really hard to describe. I mean, someone has really gone out of their way to help you. You needed it. They really got you out of a jam, and you have a lot of respect for that person, and you want to thank them. This whole system, the healthcare system in England and the other socialist states, and here in America, the direction that we're going to, what we have is a system of entitlement where we have no respect for the people who are actually paying to make it happen. And that cannot be good for society in the long run. And I think what we're really seeing with in England, since they can't afford to pay for it anyway, is that the people who are entitled, feel entitled, can't get it anyway. So how that ends, I don't know, but I don't see it ending well. And you would think that at some point, after countries are so massively in debt, our own included, that people would figure out that we just can't afford to pay for these things. And the money is literally being sucked right out of the wallets of our grandchildren. That they would say, you know what, we need to rethink how we're doing things. All right. So, as you can tell, I have a lot to say about that. Let me go on to the next one. Wow. Okay. So you're going to have to read this one. If you're looking at this one on a phone, you're going to maybe have some trouble. Now, I couldn't help but notice that we've had some people drop in, and I don't know. I don't know how to tell. So I'm learning here. Is there a way for me to see who's actually here? Participants. Nope. Only after. Is anyone there? Because one of the things I was hoping to test out was this live interaction. So if anyone wants to put something in there, even if it's stupid, that'd be appreciated. Just so I can see kind of what the delay is and how real time it is, so on and so forth. Anyway, so I gave you some time to look at this meme. And this is sort of like a microcosm of our society. I'm not going to dwell on this one too much, but I think what it goes to show is you can't please everyone, and we live in a society where you can't please anyone, right? So, and this has been magnified through social media and big tech. And again, I don't know how it ends, but it can't end well. It's going to end with this boat sinking, and that boat being the country, could be the world. Um, Too many cooks in the kitchen, burning it down. So, like I said, I'm not going to talk too much about that one, at least not now. Can you really get into high philosophy from a meme. I think some people would argue you can't. So this one was funny, right? Not gonna dwell on that one either. Let's go on to the next one. So actually, I put this one in here as a leaping off point, just to let my channel know a little bit about myself. A long time ago now, because I'm getting old. I can't believe how old I am. I used to be a Democrat, liberal, and I supported gun control. I actually supported universal gun confiscation. If the modern me heard the old me speak about guns, I'd probably punch me in the face. I mean, it was just ridiculous. The things that I used to think about this. But this sentiment that's in this meme is actually very close to what kind of altered my perspective because somewhere along the lines I realized what just makes sense if you think about it is the lawbreakers are not going to follow the law. This is sort of like common sense. If you could make a law to ban murder from ever happening, then having made laws against murder, which we have, murders would never happen. And yet, and yet they still happen. And it's kind of the same thing with the issue of gun. It's actually very similar. No delay. All right, thank you. What do you mean? What? I asked that like 2 minutes ago. So say something after you just hear this, and we'll see how long that was. Okay. So anyway, um, to go back to this meme, then it's a very similar kind of idea that it's kind of a foolish thing where we tie the rights that we have with that should be intrinsic to us, like the right to self defense, to the behavior of others. It just doesn't make sense. It's kind of like, I mean, if you would think about it in terms of like speech, like because somebody else says something that is disagreeable, then none of us should be able to speak, which apparently seems to be kind of the way big tech has operated for a while. But if you follow that logic all the way to its end, no one would be able to do anything. It is one of those things where, on a small scale, it can work. From the point, let me explain. So, like, if you only have 20 people, you can have a certain amount of rules. Um, and you could have a one privileged person who's allowed to talk and nobody else can. For a particular context. But as soon as you get to 200 million people, it doesn't work. It breaks down. And so we can have our ideological wishful thinking that could only work with a very small context, or we can go with the real world. And that's what people don't want to do. This is actually part of my problem with the idea of socialism. Socialism sort of works if you have a small enough context. The family, the institution of the family is kind of communistic, even, right? It's even right down to the mother and the father being able to do whatever they want in their own household while the kids have a bunch of rules they have to follow. That's just like communism. And then you can maybe bump that up to a community or maybe a small country like Cuba. I don't know, Scandinavia. But if you get up to 300 million people, it doesn't work anymore. So people need to learn how to scale up and understand that things that might work on paper or with a few people can't work when you get millions of people. All right, so let's go on here. Come on, that's just funny right there, right? Now, if you don't find that humorous, um, I need to help educate you. You need to be educated. So stay part of this channel. We'll see what we can do for you. Okay, let's go on. Okay, so I put this meme in here because I don't know about you, but I've done this. In fact, just a couple days ago, I was alone in the house and I was taking a shower, and I heard the door uh, of the bathroom all like jitter and stuff, like someone was opening it. And I about freaked out. So I grabbed my sidearm and my guitar. Well, I put the guitar down, and it turned out it was just the cat. So um, I had the bike on the side, so I guess I didn't have that part. But anyway, I just thought that was kind of funny. Let's go on to the next one. Well, I suppose this is getting kind of long. Maybe I don't want to keep going. Um, but it is worth pointing out sort of the double standard hypocrisy that uh, is out there, and I've been seeing this for a long, long time. Um, we even have a phrase for it, being gaslit. Back when I started following the news, back shortly after 9/11, we didn't have that word. It wasn't really commonly used, but they're still doing the same things. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on this right now. Come on, that's funny, right? I'm not much of a golfer, but that's good. All right, that's what else here. All right, so we're back to the beginning. Just gonna wrap it up and thank you folks for popping in. I've had a couple here and there, and if you want me to continue to do this, and I'm going to do this whether you like it or not a few more times as I keep on going. And I'm going to try to use these live streams as a way to talk about um, events as they're happening a little bit more. In fact, I should probably say a word about that. In fact, I will say a word about that just in case someone's looking at this later. One of the things that I don't want to participate in is sort of this rage of the day mentality. Like every everyone's going to get mad about the same thing all at once, and there's going to just be um, you're going to go on Twitter, and there's going to be a thousand tweets about one thing, and you have to ask yourself, why are we mad about that? How do we get all mad about that? This is a little bit like that gas stove meme that I had right there, except for we know why people were mad about that because someone came out and said, "Hey, let's ban gas stoves." But a lot of times, we're just all like triggered all at once, and a lot of times we're triggered based on something that has happened where we don't even know all the details about it. Maybe like a school shooting or something like that, and we don't know what's happened. Why are we even talking about it yet? So on this channel, I'm going to try very hard to stay away from that. And if that means that I need to wait a week or longer before I'm going to comment on something to make sure that I've got all the facts, I'm going to do it. I don't. I don't want to be manipulated into reacting to things that aren't important. And as part of that same thought, though, is like I want to be the one who chooses what I think about. So it isn't necessarily that I'm gonna per se wait a week before I decide to comment on something. It's like I'm gonna have a life, an intellectual life that's apart from what's happening in mass media. Yeah, I just don't see how we can survive as a society if there's not a lot of us with sort of these independent mental uh, lives that you should be able to turn off the TV and put away the phone and go away from the computer for extended periods of time and be happy and content and satisfied with your life. There should be things that you can do apart from whatever's going on in the news cycle. And I don't think that we have that in our society right now. I think we need it. It's like a drug, and not a good one. So I guess that does tie into this meme here. Um, I think we are watching a collapse. I think empires always collapse. There's not an empire yet in history that hasn't collapsed in some way. Yeah, the United States is an empire, but you have almost a global empire that is slowly coming together. It'll collapse too. There's nothing that people can build that won't eventually disintegrate. And to the extent that that can be prevented, it can only be done by thinking very, very carefully about the world the way it really is instead of the way that we wish it was. And I don't think we can find that out by sitting in front of a screen all day long. So, anyway, that's all I'm going to say today. Thanks again. How long did this go? There's got to be a timer here, 25 minutes. So, I'm going to go and see what kind of editing I can do with this in the fly. And questions or comments, always appreciated. Would like to see you on Twitter if you're that kind of person. I know, look at me, right? Here I am, like talking about how crappy technology is, and I'm like trying to like say, "Hey, come, let's join me on some more technology." So anyway, as I was saying, like to see you join me on Twitter, that sort of thing. And if you like the videos, if you like the content, if you like the perspective, if you believe that a collapse is maybe not imminent but inevitable, like, share. I think we have an obligation to warn people, but if you are a biblical person at all, you know that even Jesus told the disciples at some point to knock the dust off of their feet. We can't waste too much time on people who are not going to listen, but we should try to help those who can be helped. So, all right, that's it. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.